right, the question is term life better than whole life? Brent, did you answer this? Term life better than whole life?
Depends on what you're trying to do. I mean, it depends on what purpose it's trying to serve. So a lot of business owners have to get insurance to serve as collateral for a loan that they may get. You always want to use a term policy for that. You don't want to give up the whole life of that. But in a perfect world, you have a combination of the two. So if I've got clients that are 24, 25 years old, we'll get a small whole life policy that they can afford. It's $50 a month. And in a term policy that's much larger because they plan on starting a family soon. So it's a 20-year term at $1 million. It's a $100,000 whole life. So by the time that term expires, their kids will be nearly grown, but that whole life will have grown. And ideally, we would have likely gotten another term policy or another policy to stagger somewhere about 10 years down the road. So I'm agnostic with most stuff, pretty indifferent. So depending upon what you want to use that product for, that's going to dictate whether it's good or bad. It's not just on its own good or bad.
Good. All right, next question, rapid fire. On home loans, what type of loans, property tax and insurance? We'll get some more detail on that later. All right, go to the next question. Should I continue to hold on to a rental that is not yielding any profit? Anybody can take this one. Should I continue to hold on to a rental unit that is not yielding any profit?
So is it paying for itself or are you losing money? And so there are two questions there, and then you want to think about what is the equity position. So for instance, I bought a unit for $100,000 pre-COVID. That unit now is worth $250,000. My mortgage is only for that $100,000. The tenant pays enough to cover that mortgage, plus I make about a 75% profit off of the property after I pay taxes, insurance, and any maintenance. Is it worth holding on to? Now, if we say my mortgage is $1,500, the tenant is only paying $1,500, I still have to pay insurance, taxes, and if something were to happen, that would come out of my pocket. But the home is worth $250,000. Do you keep it or do you sell it? If I can put $150,000 in my pocket today on a property that I am losing money on, do I sell it, do I keep it? You take that $150 and you buy something where the metrics make sense.
What if the house is paid for, only taxes are due?
So is it paying for itself? Meaning, is it a rental that I am able to pay all the expenses, right? So if it is only taxes and insurance, that means I am making a profit. Now, unless there are some other financial goals where that equity matters to you today, to access that equity, you can make a decision. I'll tell you one thing about, what we recognize, and maybe Angel, you can support this, is we don't know when to refinance in our community. When rates got extremely low, there was so much wealth lost in Black family because we don't touch it. I got approved, I don't want to touch nothing, I don't want to mess nothing up, right? So many of us missed when those rates were really low and we could go take that capital out, set it aside for a rainy day. Now the equity ain't quite the same today, right? And neither are the rates. So you really need to think about what that looks like. Perhaps this is something Brent can help with, because how you look at the asset and the value is going to determine whether you sell, hold. If it's not doing anything, you want to make sure that it's doing what you want it to do in that financial plan.
That's good. And just a quick note, if those interest rates ever go back down to that low, everybody needs to refinance. You understand that? 2%, 3% money, it's almost like free money, okay? All right, next question. When you turn 72 and have investments, it's mandatory that you take a percentage. How much is the percentage? Yes.
So it usually starts around 4 or so, but it escalates each year, because basically, this is money that I assume is in a retirement account. So essentially, the government is saying, you've been growing this money without me touching it, so I gotta get a piece at some point. So they're gonna make you start taking a portion of that money out. Now, that's a good opportunity to figure out if they're gonna make you take some of that money after you pay the taxes. It might be an opportunity to reroute that money into some other type of investment and let that money work for you.
Good. Rapid fire. Do I buy a house or do I build a house? Excuse me. Do I build a house or do I buy a house already standing?
So again, it depends, right? So what are your goals? I would say if I could purchase a piece of land and build the home I want to see, right? Maybe I want all the energy efficient components, and I want marble floors, and I want a closet that's bigger than the bedroom, because all I'm gonna do in the bedroom is sleep, but the closet I want to live in, right? So depending upon what you can afford to do, but really, the economics have to make sense. Right now, I would say there are many situations where the cost to build and the cost to renovate in many cases are almost getting to a point of equilibrium, right? So if you are fortunate enough to be in a position to make that call, what is it that you seek to do? What is it that you hope to do? I would say you maximize the equity position. Pastor talked about his individual situation where he, they made a decision to build. That equity on their books now is real, right? So looking at it from, foresight, maybe it's an opportunity to think about building equity in that tool being, the investment. Because real estate is the investment, whether you live in it or whether you're renting it, it is the investment.
That's good. Rapid fire. Ms. Price, what is a profile of an ideal client?
Banks like to go back to what they call the 5 C's. So the ideal client, I think both from a business perspective and consumer perspective, would be, and this is in no certain order, but capacity, meaning do you have the capacity to repay a loan? Capital, do you have some liquidity or something to put into what you're trying to invest in or buy? Banks don't typically like to take 100% of the risk, because that would make them an investor in whatever you're trying to do. They like to see you have some investment in what you're trying to do. Character, I think of that as kind of the credit report, if you would. That's not always indicative of your character, truly, but it is an indicator of if you have paid others back. Collateral, is there a plan B? If your cash flow doesn't work, does the bank have another option? And the 5th C would be credit, basically.
That's it. All right, rapid fire. How can we help our young people to understand economics and to learn about finance and stocks and operating a business? Brent.
All right, so I live with 2 young people. One of them is 11 and one is 7. And so all the conversations we have are around them owning a business or what they would want to do. And so my oldest son, we talk about it. It's like we're driving by, like, okay, that's a vacant piece of land. What would you do there and why? Because I want him thinking about it. Like, one of the things he started doing last year, he's in the 5th grade now, last year in the 4th grade, everybody was always asking to borrow his pencil. So he went to the dollar store, bought a bunch of pencils, started renting out pencils. So he's renting everybody pencils. I go to meet with his principal beginning of this year, they got a vending machine for pencils. Messed up his whole business model. So no, if you get a good idea, the big boys might take it. But I think start having the conversation, because what you really want is you want the creative thinking. People get paid to solve problems, right? So you want them to think about the finances and the economics of that. So when we're having these conversations, ask them, okay, how much is the pack of pencils at the dollar store? How much are you renting the pencils out for? Okay, how many times do you have to go back and get the pencil from the people if they don't want to give it back to you? Because ideally they give it back to you after the class and you can rent that same pencil over. And so he's thinking about, okay, well, I need $5 to go to the dollar store, and that'll last me for a month. And so you want them thinking about things from a business perspective and all the different nuances, because, I mean, at the end of the day, business, we make it harder than it needs to be. You're selling a product or a service, all right? And you gotta be able to do that. You gotta be able to sell it for more than it costs you to produce it. It's just that simple. And so just having those conversations and talking it through, and not from a perspective of that's right or that's wrong, but okay, that's what you said, but how is that gonna work out for you? And usually they'll think themselves into, okay, well, I might not need to do it like that. I might wanna do it like this. And then they'll just start naturally thinking that way.
That's awesome. You taking notes? I'm taking notes. Yes, ma'am.
I love that. I would also say, you know, when I was growing up, my dad would say, that ain't none of your business. Don't worry about what I'm doing. I think, I read a book, Charles Schwab, I think it was a book by Charles Schwab, where it's okay to talk to the kids about those intimate financial details. They need to know that the mortgage is $1,000. And they need to know, you know, families need to have those real, true conversations at an age when the kids start understanding money and working the fast food jobs, getting paid so that they can understand how to budget, how to save, what things cost. And you said it's not sexy. My daughter's 30 and she asked me for tires the other day. That's not cute. So
You tell that baby business act. All right, so in this same vein, let's jump to Liberty Bank for a moment, because I believe I saw something on the website for young people, and something was scrolling across the screen one day. Is there something that Liberty Bank or some other banks have in place to assist young people structurally so they can, you know, be fiscally responsible?
yeah, please do visit our website. It's libertybank.net. There's a couple other Liberty Banks out there in the country, but we are libertybank.net, based out of New Orleans. It's a go ahead, put a plug in. We're 51 years, Black-owned, $1 billion bank. We were one of the largest. We are one of the largest. We were the largest at one time, but somebody beat us. Black-owned institution in the country. I do encourage you to visit the website. There are some very helpful links to some financial literacy and things that would empower you, as well as an array of all of our products and services. But yes, the answer to your question is there are some interactive tools and things that you could access from the website for young people. Yeah, I think One United might. Yeah, but they're not as good as us.
Y'all give it up, Liberty Bank being the number 2 largest black bank in the country. They were number 1 up until, I guess, a little while ago.
Well, we are based out of New Orleans, and we have branches in the states, both coast to coast.
Please understand. Yes, and so again, like I said, I'm not getting paid for any of this. I'm basically got to tell brown people that sometimes. We're not getting paid for any of this publicity, but I'm putting out there black-owned businesses, right? That's what we're up here doing. Everybody up here represents a black-owned business, okay? So that's the reason that people up here in this not for. Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to add on to the question about dealing with the youth. 2 things. One, I think it would be awesome if, for those who desire to do so, to have their children go to Silicon Valley to see what's going on out there. Sometimes we're not tech savvy the way that we need to be to get on the creator side of it and to see how we can use that technology for the kingdom. The other thing, there's a program that is not age specific. I think 14 maybe is the youngest age, but it's called the Google Certificate Career Program. Has anyone heard of that? And so it's enabling you to learn IT support, e-commerce and marketing, digital marketing, just a lot of various programs that I think, I thought I wrote it down, but I may not have. Trying to think of, it's 6 different areas, so forgive me for having a blank for a moment. But you go online and you do these programs and you get certificates. And it's about 250 companies that are hiring. And I know, I was looking at digital security. And the starting salary is 118,000 entry. And it was like 400,000 open jobs. And your children could be educating themselves online while they're in high school and being prepared for technology, because it is here. There's a lot of scare in the church about AI, and I understand that, but I think knowledge is power. I think God wants us to dominate every area. I think we need to find the 7 mountains of influence and take over them all. So I just encourage you to look at that.
That's good. I've got a couple of questions, and we'll kind of lump them together in regards to investing, and this specifically to real estate investing. The questions around where do I get started? What if I don't have any money? How do I begin the process? What can I do from basically ground zero? Ms. Jones.
So I heard, how do I get started? What if I don't have any money? And where do I start? Okay. So there are a lot of options. I would say, even without the money, you need the know-how. I often tell people, to establish what it is you want to do in real estate. Start with, identifying what that looks like, so that you know how to distinguish a deal. It's simple math. Anything that we teach around investing in any of the organizations I work with, we talk about the exit strategy first. So if I'm interested in fixing and flipping, there's a formula that we use to look at, what that could look like, what profit margins need to exist, who is the end user? Is it, a turnkey rental? Do we need to find a tenant to make it valuable? Is it going to be a homeowner? So there are a number of things that you think about. So first, establishing what it is you want to do. I want to fix and flip. I want a fast return. Is it that I want to have a rental portfolio? I like to establish some equity. I want somebody else to be paying these mortgages off, and I just want to set it over to the side when I retire. I'm building wealth a little bit slower. So one is just to establish what you want real estate to do for you. The other piece is the home ownership, the home you live in, the home you intend to buy really should be the first investment you make. Many of us have started real estate purchasing by finding something that we would be willing to live in, fix up, make it home, live in it for a year, sell it, wash and repeat. So there are a number of strategies that you could think about. I would say when you say you have no money, there are a number of strategies that don't necessarily require you to use your own capital, but it does require your investment, right? So there's something there that you need to invest, whether that be, maybe it's your credit. Maybe I have the down payment, you got the good credit, and we can go see Angel together, and Angel said, well, it won't be that $250,000 property, but I tell you what, I give you $75,000, go make it work. Right, so just thinking through what value you're gonna bring. It could be partnership, education is gonna be key. You wanna identify what it is you wanna do. I would say attach yourself. There are a number of tools online. I won't say Google University or YouTube University, especially when you have practitioners sitting in the congregation with you. You ask questions, you begin to attach yourselves to what you wanna see and what you wanna understand. Much of the work that we do, and we do have a real estate discovery day coming up for 13 to 24 with the Young Realtors Division and the Alliance for Housing Progress. So July 17th, I'll make sure Pastor gets the information, but we're going to start talking to kids 13 to 24 about investment, real estate careers. There will be opportunity for you to come out and talk about getting qualified for your individual home ownership journey. And so it's going to be held at Junior Achievement over on Tillman. But the goal is to just equip with information. Will be a starting point. But there's enough information out here to figure out what you want to do. I certainly think within the landscape of real estate and information free flow, you can figure it out. I always say start with one thing. If I'm gonna start with a single family resident home as my first investment, Don't let nobody tell you about that distressed hotel downtown is a great investment opportunity. You're not there yet, the experience level, your collateral, so you start at a point where you can control what makes sense, right? And you grow into the next kind of deal.
That's fantastic. Also, an additional plug for this Saturday. For those that are available at Lamont College, we'll be there from 10 to 3. The organization that both of us are a part of for people that are interested in buying a home. We're gonna have attorneys there, we're gonna have mortgage loan officers, real estate agents, and professionals there. We can have one-on-one meetings, interactions, and they can give information about many of the questions that I'm seeing on here. Questions such as what is FHA, what is a 4-unit, all those can be answered on this Saturday. Okay, we'll have the contact information for everybody on the screen at the end as well, but also know that we will have that available this Saturday. If I say this Saturday, the historic. Any Lamont College graduates in here? Oh, Lamont in here? Okay, all right, got it. Okay, all right. So Lamont, you know where it is. So Lamont College from 10 a.m. to 3. Okay, we may have a Liberty Bank representative there, maybe not this one, but another representative there. So Angel, just so you guys know, once you see information on the screen, Angel deals with the commercial side of real estate, business banking, and there's other officers within the bank that can assist with consumer side, okay? So again, just make sure that if you do have questions later, you'll direct them to the bank if there are consumer questions. She'll be able to take care of the rest, correct me if I'm wrong. Now, another question that's kind of repeated in here is, the title of this week is When the Brook Dries Up. So Brent, if you would, I want to talk to what happens, God forbid, stock market crashes and stays down. And let's say a repeat of 2008 happens, or 2009. What would be your advice? I want you to speak to 2 different type of people. Speak to a young person just working 9 to 5, and I also want you to speak to the person that's retired and they have investments, stock market. Like, what would you say to these people if a market crash took place and then we sunk into a recession? What would be your advice?
So if you said they're close to retired or they're already retired? Okay. Hopefully, if you're already retired, you're living off your retirement income. That was your 401k or IRA or what have you. Hopefully, it's structured in a way that you're pretty well protected on the downside. Whether you've got an annuity with guaranteed income, whether you invested in a way that's very, very, you're not being aggressive at all. If you're in retirement, you don't need to be aggressive. Your stuff needs to be protected because you have to live off that money. If you're young, look, the part you don't hear is in 2008, there were some people that made a lot of money. All right, everybody was panicked. Whenever you hear all the panic on the news, some people are making money. Like I always say, the stock market doesn't dictate whether you make money, just how you make money. And when it becomes realized, because what people have to realize, the top 1% coming out of COVID saw their net worth increase by 40% because they had access to cash. So the young people, I would say the first habit you need to get is the habit of saving. If you can build up good habits, because you can know everything in the world, but if you've got bad habits, it's not really gonna make any difference. So if you can build up that habit of saving, because there are people that all they do is put away money, and they keep it in relatively liquid accounts that's not aggressive, and they just wait for opportunities. They're waiting for the crash. Because if you look historically, about every 8 to 12 years, somebody does something or something happens, and we've got a correction. And so in our business, we call those buying opportunities. But if you're 24, 25, I mean, your horizon is way down. So again, you just keep saving, and you just keep saving. Because when the market drops, it's kind of on sale. But the thing about it is, where do you get that money from? So that's why you want to be prepared for these opportunities. And that's why when everybody's panicking, I'm like, do you know why you're panicking? You know what I mean? I understand, we don't know what the man is going to say from day to day, but hey, you can't control that. You do your job. You know what I mean? That's all you can do.
All right. When I say rapid fire, we gotta be rapid fire. There are 30 unread or unasked questions. So I need y'all to do the best you can. We'll try to get through 3 more, and then we're gonna put a pin in it. We're not gonna stop, we're gonna put a pin in it, okay? That's great. All right, so is it wise to buy a new home at age 65, Ms. Jones? Is it wise to buy a new home at age 65?
It can be, with the right product. There's something called a reverse mortgage product that may be available to you. It could still be an investment strategy. Again, this will require you to talk through strategy, with, wills, estate planning with the family. But yes, at 65, there is an opportunity to still be a homeowner.
Fantastic. Rapid fire. Is there still a business incubator in the city? Is there still a business incubator in the city?
Yes.
Actually, okay. That is rapid fire, you're right. That is rapid. Where would they go?
Currently, MMBC is hosting a number of trainings throughout Shelby County with their business entrepreneurship trainings that is free. The second session, so they're district-based. You can go to the Shelby County Commission website, or I can make sure Pastor gets the information, because there is a session, I think this Saturday in one of the districts. In addition, if you connect to the Black Business Chamber, or the Black Business Association, which is now the Black Chamber.
Yeah.
So they have a number of resources for entrepreneurs and businesses as well.
Got it. This question is for Angela Brent. If you have credit card debt and want to save money at the same time, should I do both or focus on paying off the debt first?
I would focus on paying off the high interest rate credit cards first. If you have a low Liberty Bank credit card with a low rate, then you save. But if you have a high rate, I would urge you to try to extinguish that as quickly as you can and then begin to save.
Okay. Attorney Clinton, what's the process for filing bankruptcy?
Come and talk to me.
That is rapid fire. I'll squeeze one more.
One of the things that you'll need to do is to make a list of your creditors, make a list of your assets. That's going to be one of the first things that they need to see. You need to have your information together, bank statements, the last 7 months of your bank statements, last 7 months of your check stubs. All attorneys are required to review these items before you're able to file. Oh, and I forgot to say the last 4 years of your tax returns. So sometimes people come and they have not filed tax returns for 4 years. And so I have to find a way to get that taken care of. But those are the type of things that you will need to do to look. And the first thing that we'll do is pray and see if it's really for you.
Family, we have come to the conclusion of our panel discussion. Y'all give it up for them, please. Give it up for them, please. So I don't really need to ask, was it beneficial? Because I still have over 30 questions that have not even been answered. So that tells me that there was a need for this session, Pastor Moss. There was a need for this session, Pastor Williams. There was a need for this session. And so what I would like to do, eventually we're going to have the contact information of our panelists on the screen behind us. It is roughly 8:15. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put a pin in it right now. And when I say put a pin in it, it's because we're not done with economic empowerment. We have more. On tomorrow night, I have brought in a real firecracker. I'm just gonna let her do her thing tomorrow. She's gonna have, I'm gonna say hello and I'm gonna turn it over to her. And what I mean by that is the execution piece that we need. You've heard me say this before, information is fantastic, but if we do nothing with it, then it can be useless for us. So we need to make sure that we are not just hearers of the word only, family, to be doers of the word. So this is one part of the puzzle that we need to make sure that we empower each other for generations to come. All right? Could y'all stand up and clap for this panelists, please? Can y'all clap for them, please? All right. We're going to, Pastor Moss, can you do the benediction for us? Yeah, I do, yes, sir. Yeah, Y'all give Pastor Moss, please.